Hello, everybody. It is Wednesday, October 21st, 2015, and a DeLorean just landed in my front yard. That's right, everybody. Today is Back to the Future Day. I'm excited. Aren't you excited? Well, come to think about it, it's not really a Back to the Future Day. I realize, in the movie, they arrived in the future today, but I don't see flying cars. I don't see hoverboards. Um, I certainly don't see someone, who looks like Marty McFly running around with a red puffy jacket and with shoelaces that tie themselves. And I kind of think all the excitement about uh, Back to the Future Day revolves around the fact that it's pretty cool. It's a point in time that was mentioned in something that was popular, and we've got to that point in time now. It's like if you have watched the original Transformers movie, the animated one, they mentioned in the far off. Of course, this was in 1986, and they mentioned the far off year of 2005. Pretty interesting to think about. 2005. Well, that was 10 years ago. So if the Autobots and Decepticons are fighting a war on Earth, and the Decepticons have been beaten, I haven't seen them. But yeah, what's interesting about Back to the Future Day is that it represents a point in time where, like I said, we have reached that specific date, and the reality is that okay, there's there's 10 really popular things from the movie that that have been going around lately in the list. Hoverboards, uh, 3D images you can interact with, flat screen TV, flying cars, stuff like that. Well, hoverboards are actually being worked on. Flying cars have been being worked on for a while now. They're not available to you. But other things like 3D movies and holograms and robots and what else? Recycling. Uh, a lot of the things that were in that movie are things that you can find now. You can walk around most any places and find them. In fact, one of the most popular toys, it's expected to be one of the most popular toys to come out this Christmas, is actually a robot. It is a little miniature BB-8 from the new Star Wars movie coming out in December. And like I said, it's expected to be one of the most popular toys. It's already very popular. And it's really interesting to think about, a robot that it's essentially two. There's a ball and there's a little robot, and they just balance and everything. You've all seen BB-8. You know how cool it is. But that's something that was created just for that movie, and now you can have it at home. And there's a few things that Back to the Future has come out with that we're expected to be able to find at some point in time, like Pepsi Perfect. Oh, except apparently that got messed up. Yeah, at New York Comic Con earlier last month, something like that. I forgot exactly what it was. I'm sorry. Um, there was, of course, a booth, and if you showed up dressed as Marty McFly, you got a free bottle of Pepsi Perfect. That's pretty cool, right? Yeah, that's cool to get a bottle of Pepsi Perfect. But it was going to be released to the public, and turns out what happens is it didn't exactly get released to the public because I don't know. apparently what happened, at least what I can find out on the internet, is that it was going to be released and sold on Amazon and Pepsi.com and whatnot. And somewhere before it actually happened, before it was supposed to go on sale, it was put on sale early and it was bought and sold out. So now it's on eBay. There's several that are on there. But it was actually removed from the websites it was supposed to have been sold on normally because of some little mess up. So if you got one of your bottles of Pepsi Perfect, one of the 6,500 that were made, I kind of hate you, but I'm also incredibly jealous of you because who does not want a bottle of Pepsi Perfect? Now, for those of you who don't know anything about Pepsi Perfect, when Marty goes to the future, Pepsi products are all there are. There's no more Coke. There's no more Dr. Pepper. There's no more anything else. It's just Pepsi. It was considered to be, the drink. And that was actually because of a very, very instantaneous deal that was made. I mean, as quick as I'm snapping my fingers, it was made right then. They needed something to use, and Coke had not agreed, and Pepsi did, and so Pepsi was what was used. And the bottles that you see in the movie were all made by father and son. I feel like I've mentioned this before at some point in time, but they were made by a father and son team in their garage, and they cost a couple $1,000s to make. So they're in the movie. Well, Pepsi, was announced a while back that they're going to release this. It's a replica bottle. It's a collector's item, but inside is Pepsi made with real sugar. So congratulations, those of you who got your Pepsi Perfect. It's kind of cool. But the sad thing is, no matter what you really enjoyed about Back to the Future, whether you just like the movies or whether you like what was considered futuristic technology. The sad thing is that after this week, that's it. It's over with. We will be far, far past Back to the Future. I mean, it's kind of sad. But what I like to think about is the reasons why. Now, if for some reason, Back to the Future actually happened, even though I doubt it did, that would mean that Doc Brown had had time travel technology for about 60 years. And now, of course, that the timeline that they go to in 2015 in the movie is actually an alternate timeline. It has to be. Because think about it for a couple reasons. One, look at our world we have today. No, we don't have hoverboards everywhere. No, we don't have flying cars. But pretty much everything else is there, right? And a couple of differences have taken place. Now, if you know from Back to the Future that Marty kind of screws things up in the 1950s when he goes back. He almost was his own dad, but thankfully he wasn't, because he was able to get George and his mom together. But what happened was at the school dance, the dance in the movie. Now, if you haven't seen it, I'm gonna spoil this, and I don't know how you haven't seen Back to the Future right now, but what happens is at the dance, he introduces the world of the 1950s to rock and roll. Now, the song that he plays, it's a Chuck Berry song, Johnny Be Good, hint hint. That was actually considered the world's first rock and roll song, first ever, period. So it's likely that Marty, when he played his version of it, because he wanted to have his band and everything, if you remember the beginning of the movie, for the talent show, he was told he could not play by the school official, and it's because he took a few liberties with the song. Now he plays it at school function, school dance, and rock and roll goes away. Instead, what you have is hoverboards, because those were cool and interesting. Which, by the way, Marty was the person who introduced skateboards to the world too. If you remember, he basically everything that Marty did walked all over the timeline. Now you're not supposed to interact with people. You're not supposed to change anything. But Marty significantly altered the timeline. Now, what I think that happened personally is that Doc Brown had to go back and fix everything that Marty, being the dumbass that he is, screwed up. So maybe Doc Brown had to play around with the timelines and kill certain people and kidnap them, and we'll never really know. We'll never really know because it's all been fixed, except for it hadn't all been fixed because we don't have the things that we're supposed to have in the movie. But that's just me ranting. I'm sorry, to rant that much. Actually, there's something else I want to talk about for a little bit. Now, if you're a regular viewer of the show, that we're not really um, a big fan of Fox News because Fox News is crazy and the people on there are crazy. But they have gotten to a new level of insanity this time. I was actually pointed out the story yesterday, and apparently what happened is Fox News has just now learned that Captain America is no longer Steve Rogers. Captain America is now the former Falcon who has taken over the mantle because Captain America stepped down. Now, Captain America still uses the name Captain, but he does not call himself Captain America because he's retired. He's already been dead. He's been frozen for 70 years, and now he's out of the ice, and he's tired of being an Avenger. So he stepped down, and he now works for Shield. Makes sense. So he's passed along the mantle to Falcon. Okay, and this was announced June of last year, I think, on the Colbert Show. Stephen Colbert, the Colbert Report announced it. So Fox News is just now learning about this, so they're definitely a little behind the times here. But they're upset because Captain America is no longer fighting Hydra. No, Captain America is now fighting. Well, for starters, Captain America's black now, so that's a problem somehow, I guess, maybe. But yeah, they're upset that Captain America is no longer fighting Hydra. Instead, Captain America is fighting a group known as Sons of the Serpents. Okay, that's not really a new group for Captain America to fight. I mean, they've been around since the 80s or 90s, somewhere around there. But Fox News is upset because Captain America is not fighting Nazis. They're oh, it actually makes my head hurt to think about this. On the show, when it was mentioned, the news broadcast of Fox News, when it was mentioned, they said that Captain America is now just he's a liberal, and he's against a group that love the Constitution and love God and love America and want to protect it. Yeah, that would be these guys, the Sons of the Serpents. So a black man who is all about America because he's Captain America now is against people that want to protect America? Well, not exactly. Captain America has always been a liberal, progressive character. Always. Always, 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 always. When he was created, uh, Steve Rogers was given the background. Of course, you have to have something that he was doing. And what he was he was an art student living in Brooklyn prior to World War II and during the early part of World War II. Now, if that didn't make any sense to you, that's fine. But Stephen Atwell actually wrote an essay about this. And he says, to be an artist in New York City in the 1930s was to be surrounded by the cultural front. We're talking the WPA Arts and Theater projects. Diego Rivera painting socialist murals in Rockefeller Center, Orson Welles turning Julius Caesar into an anti-fascist play, and running an all-black Macbeth and The Cradle Will Rock. Paul Robeson was a major star, and so on. You couldn't really be an artist and have escaped left-wing politics. And if a poor kid like Steve Rogers was going to college as a fine art student, odds are very good that he was going to the City College of New York at a time when an 80% Jewish student body is organizing student trade unions, anti-fascist rallies, and the New York intellectuals were busily debating Trotskyism versus Stalinism versus Norman Thomas socialism versus the New Deal in dining halls. Think about that for a second. Captain America's from New York, an all-American city, very multicultural area, goes off to fight fascism in World War II, and during that point in time, he wound up leading a multiracial squad of freedom fighters called the Howling Commandos. And so now, apparently, because, after World War II is defeated, after you've already defeated the Nazis, what we have going on is that Captain America, is still doing the same thing. And Fox is upset by this. Well, when you think about it, kind of makes sense, doesn't it? Think about Captain America Civil War. Not just the movie coming out soon. No, next year, next couple of years, somewhere. I've lost track. I'm sorry. But not just that, but its comic counterpart, where the Avengers were essentially ripped in half because Captain America was anti-establishment. Now, Iron Man, as you know, or you should know by now, was pro-establishment. There was going to be a registration act, and Iron Man was in favor of it, because he wanted the government to be aware of who these people were, what their powers were, and what they could do. He thought it was, the right thing to do. And Captain America has always said, no, we're not going to do that. That's not okay. The government needs to be less of your private life, which is actually a conservative talking point now when you think about it. A smaller government that does not interfere with you. And if you remember, if you've never read the stories, certainly you've seen the movies, and you know that Captain America, at least in the Winter Soldier movie, finds out about this stuff going on, and that leads into Age of Ultron and Tony Stark creating Vision and everything else, and it worries the Captain. It worries him a lot. Well, in the comics, like I said, he's already stepped down. He's no longer being Captain America because of that stuff. Because of that stuff. So the idea that they're going to be fighting Nazis and everything, well, that's kind of over and done with. The Nazis were already beaten, right? Right. So, for another group, like Sons of the Serpent to come up, kind of is a thing. Like I said, there's a problem with this. Fox News was actually trying to defend the Sons of the Serpent, and they compared them to their audience. Okay? Just think about that for a second. They compared them to the Fox News audience. Now, if you're not familiar with Sons of the Serpent, that's fine. I understand. But this is from the Wikipedia article about them, okay? The Sons of the Serpent are a subversive organization of costumed American racist super patriots who oppose all racial, ethnic, and religious minorities. They sought to subvert America through hate crimes and organized protest, and were opposed by the Avengers and the Defenders. It's Captain America's new enemy, according to Fox News, and it's their audience, because these people are conservatives, as opposed to the dirty, filthy liberals taking over our country, and Fox News would like to see politics come out of comic books, which is strange, because they've always been political forever. And that's actually where we're going to end, because I really don't have anything else to say about this. It's not that I you know, can't go on and keep talking and mention how that's kind of a problem that Fox News is telling their audience that they all are racist and whatnot. But that, like I said, this is where we're going to end. So I will talk to all of you on Friday. Gonna have a very special show on Friday, by the way. And you're gonna have to like our Facebook page to see what it is. Uh, Actually, you know what? I may not even announce it. I may not even announce it at all because I can. But yeah, Friday show's coming up. Thank you for listening. Remember to like this video, comment on it, subscribe to the channel, like us on Facebook, tell Nick how much you can't stand him, and we'll talk to all of you on Friday. Enjoy your Back to the Future Day, everybody, and stay away from the dirty liberals. Ha 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 ha. Bye bye.